Peace and greetings. Peace and greetings. Is my mic on? Is my mic on? And we are back with Don't Think Too Hard. Each way it's an experience podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today is going to be such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conversation with my sacred sister all the way from Cali. Yes, we got Cali in the house, Los Angeles. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Hey, hey. They not like us. Hey, they not like us. Sacred woman on the move. My sis all the way from Cali. Sacred woman practitioner, Lady Ankh. It is such a pleasure. Let me tell you how a couple of weeks ago I needed assistance with another guest. She felt as though she didn't have community, and I just hit up my sacred sister. I just said, I need help. Can you please come on? I hit my sis up the day before the podcast, the episode, and she said, I am there. Just let me know. And she was ready and she poured so much into it that we had to have her come back for her own podcast, for her own episode. And she's doing womb healing. Now, everybody that knows me knows I always talk about womb healing. So if you see me cry this episode, please hold space for me. Okay. I always say this is a sacred space. Please, this episode is going to be about healing. But before we start, you know, I always what I have to do. I always have to open up with a prayer, and I have to open up with prayer, especially today, because I've been detoxing all year long. Since 2024 came in, I decided I wanted to eat some vegan sausages of 2 days ago, and it's high in sodium, and my pressure has been high for the last 3 days. And I haven't dealt with high blood pressure in a long, 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 long time. I have been down. So I may look all glamorous, but let me tell you something. I am pulling all my strength together right now to come through. So with that being said, let's stay this prayer. Let's take this prayer. Omi tutu, ile tutu, ona tutu. I asked that the Most High come in and bless this podcast, bless this episode, bless the guests, bless the viewers. Please give me and the guests the words to say out of our mouths. Let your words fall on your children's ear. Please give me the strength to pull through. I ask for my frequency to be raised to the. I ask for my frequency to be raised to the cells of the Most High, because I need you right now at this moment. I am not feeling too well. I am under the weather, and I'm calling on my ancestors. Mefedefun Egun, Mefedefun Ibaye. So all my ancestors. Mefedefun to my sign guides and my protectors. Mefedefun to my Ori. May my Ori be blessed, and may the pressure be healed and light. Let me pour some water on my Ori, because we can't do anything without the head. We can't manifest without the head. We can't think without the head. We can't move forward without the head. May my head be light and clear. May Fedifun about the life day of my life. Thank you. May I have a cool head and a sound mind and a clear conscience. And I give thanks. Ashe, yo. So we're just gonna keep moving right along. Um, So those of you that are tuning in, like I said before, this is gonna be a special podcast. I'm gonna open up, being that this is my sacred sister from Cali. Me sending together the Sacred Woman program with Queen Afua. I want to read some words to the audience, and this is gonna be also for the audience that always tune in afterwards. I always know that for some reason my audience always tune in days later than the number just skyrocket. So I just have to say this prayer. Again, this is a podcast, an episode that's dedicated to all our women with womb, but also to our men because they carry their womb in their heart. This is taken from an excerpt from the Sacred Woman edition, the 20th edition. Not sure if you can see it. Can you see it? No? Okay, just a little bit. And I call myself a woman, By Necpina Evans, Sacred Woman Initiate. How can I become a woman when I don't even know my womb? I have never had a conversation with my womb, so how can I consider myself a womb man? I have been with you, grown with you, been through the rites of passage with you from childhood to adolescence to an adulthood, and yet I have never had a conversation with you. You have been the victim of a consequence to an action, a symptom of a disease, an effect of my action. I have never spoken to you, consulted with you, inquired with you, cared for you, or understood you, and I call myself a grown woman. Where have I grown? How could I have grown without talking with you, without acknowledging your presence and your works? And I call myself a womb man. I have put you through dozens of men, alien spirits, beings, and entities of all dimensions, from all the places and stations. I have created and destroyed babies through you. I have fed you all kinds of poisons, thereby creating diseases, fibroids, tumors, cysts, and of the like. I have sexually abused you, thereby creating sexually transmitted diseases, infections of all types, itching, burning, hurting, and pain. I have used you for my own purposes: money, favors, alleged self esteem, beauty, clothing, food. I have allowed men to probe you, doctors to drug you while I held you down. If I have known someone who had done all these things, huh, I will call them names and despise of the most: murderer, thief, liar, betrayer, demon. Yes, I would. I call myself a woman. Time to release. Release, release. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. I am complete. I'll be responsible for you, for myself, for my womb. We are in a relationship together. We have been from the very, very beginning. I will commune and communicate with you. I will listen to you. I will wash, cleanse, and purify you. I will pay attention to your patterns, your moods, your signs, your wonders. I will become a womb man that you made me from the beginning. Ashe. So, like as many of you know, a couple of years ago, I had a nervous breakdown, which almost took my life. And as I was doing the healing work, I realized that most all of my pain was stored in my womb. Um, I couldn't create. I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't create products. Um, as a woman, our pain and our memories, our trauma, even passed down from generation to generation to generation, is stored in our womb. Sometimes we don't know why we have certain attitudes, why we have certain moods, why we have certain attributes about ourselves. For instance, our ancestors, they went through so much traumatic pain in their time. And when they came here to the Americas, their spirituality was stripped from them. So they wasn't able to have their spiritual practices to be able to release and cleanse and heal themselves. They will be ostracized. So that pain stayed within the womb of the mother. When she had her child, it transferred through the DNA to her child, and so forth and so on. I said a couple of episodes ago on this season that we carry the DNA of our ancestors from at least 15 to 20 generations. That's the womb trauma being passed down to us. When we have trauma that's going on within us, within our whole entire life, from childhood even up until adult, that memory and that pain is stored within our womb. Your womb has a spirit. She has her own voice. And when I started to do the womb healing, I used to sit in the tub and I used to put my hands over her in the pyramid, right over her, thumbs below my belly button, and the diamond at the end pointing down to the womb to bring up the energy from the earth. I will ask her, What is it that I need to let go? What is it that's holding her back? And she instantly said, fear. I have realized each and every single day up until this day that I was just a walking ball of fear. And we are what we attract. And things that I was afraid of happening just kept coming to me. All the men that I slept with within my time, you know, when they say when you sleep with one person, you sleep with that person, everyone else that they slept with. Us as women, our womb, we hold space. And all the sometimes when men release, they release all their energy into us and it just stays trapped within us. Then we wonder why we walk around with so much baggage and so much pain, and why we can't manifest, and why we can't move forward in our life. And when we let go of someone and they just keep popping up in our minds, because that person energy still walks with us and we have to done the work to release it. The womb of the mind. This is a mental health podcast. This is the reason why I started this podcast right here, because of the womb work that I had to do. When I was in my Sacred Woman program, Newt drugged me by my feet. So many things was coming up. The younger child kept the come. Excuse me. The inner. I'm very vulnerable right now, so please excuse me. The inner child kept coming up, and thank you, sister. I see you, sister. She kept coming up, and whew, I'm feeling energy release off of me right now. Um, she was the one that was so hurt because she's been through so much traumatic pain throughout her life that she built this hard exterior. And when we first got to this rites of passage, we was told to set up our own personal altar because we have to let her rest. She got us as far as she needed us to go. And she did not want to let go. She still doesn't want to let go. I'm being very vulnerable. There was one time in meditation, I heard her speak through my woman, say, no, you are not going to protect me. No, you're gonna procrastinate. No, I'm not gonna let go. And I had to just sit and console her and say, I got you. I got this. I'm not gonna let no one hurt us no more. What we've been through in our life, we had to be strong. We had to fight. We had to be a warrior princess. We had to take out our sword. But now we can lay down our sword because we are walking on a sacred path and we fight a different way. And me and her still struggle every now and again. I know someone is going to resonate with that story, with that experience, because we all go through things in our time. The womb of the heart, so much heavy pain on my heart. Um, I was told I can't say too much, but I was told that I don't know how to let go. And carrying all that pain and all that trauma with me. I'm still doing the work today. This work is a never ending journey. That's why I have to talk about it and pay it forward, because I know that there are people out there that is like me that needs to hear this. I used to be ashamed of my story. I am proud of my story because it's a testimony. I have triumphed. I am a victor. So I just wanted to give a brief of what this conversation is going to be like. But my sister, Sacred Woman Practitioner Lady Ankh, is going to come and set this stage on fire. She is phenomenal, and she's going to talk about how she healed multiple things. I will let her tell that herself, to give her privy to tell her story. But I would like to uh, introduce her with her bio. Sacred woman practitioner Sherry Unk, affectionately known as Lady Unk, but her tribe has dedicated her life to guiding women on their journey of self-discovery by reconnecting them with their wombs through sacred lifestyle practices. As self-taught herbalist and hoodoo priestess, her mission is to restore the matriarchal heritage of women of color. Channeling words of wisdom, she spreads spiritual enlightenment to all breaking generational patterns in order to rebuild the black family. Asheo to you, sister. Without further ado, let's get this going. Let's welcome to the stage my sister, all the way from Los Angeles, California, sacred woman practitioner, Lady Ankh. Greetings,
Uh,
sister.
greetings,
How are
greetings.
you? It is such a pleasure. I'm grateful to
Oh,
have you here.
thank you so much. It is an honor to share space with you once again and to be in a space of healing, especially a virtual space of healing. These spaces are so necessary. This conversation is necessary. And so I am completely honored to speak with you all today in regards to a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. We are talking about womb healing, and all things that encompass the womb. Okay. When we talk about womb healing, let me first start off by saying the womb itself is under attack right now,
Mm,
spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. The womb is under attack. We've seen that with different things that have gone on in the media, with different things that science is coming up with to take the place of the womb. But there is no womb like the womb that is in the womb man, okay? There is nothing that will ever compare. It is
mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
center of creation, okay? And so today, what I want to talk about is you made the great, you started us off greatly by going into the three aspects of the room: the spirit of the room, the mind of the room, and the heart of the womb. A lot of us don't understand that we have, each and every last one of us, whether you be male or female, we both have three womb centers. We have the womb of our mind, the womb of our heart, and the womb of our creation. For women, it is our actual womb space. For men, it would be your seed, okay, men? So the men who tune into the podcast, when we talk about the spirit of the womb, you still have the spirit of the womb, and your seed is representation of that womb, okay? So just know that as we get into the details of this particular journey that we're going on today. Now, let me talk about a little bit about who I am and my story. And there's so many things that I could say, but I'm going to read you all a little passage from my actual journey entries, okay? And this is about many of us disconnect from our womb at very tender ages, whether that be from emotional trauma, sexual trauma, or life experiences. Some things cause us to break away from our womb. And so, in preparing for a conversation about the womb trauma I had been through during our ascension, I actually wrote out um, a little piece of some of the things that I've gone through, and I want to share this with you all so that we can have a very transparent conversation in regards to womb health. And really look at womb trauma for what it is and what it does and how it affects us, okay? And so this may be a little bit explicit. And so this is just a little warning for those who have children in the room. But this is something that you may want to talk about with your children. So I do encourage children to listen. So this was me recalling the exact moment where I disconnected from my womb space. I could remember it very vividly and very clearly. And this was the start of the womb trauma that I had incurred over my life. So this was at that very moment where I had started experiencing womb trauma. And so let me go ahead. I'm sure his phallus is bigger than my finger. Those were the words that killed my spirit at such a crucial age. I was 14 and pregnant before 16 and pregnant was even a show on MTV. It wasn't no attack. I wasn't forced. It was young love, hormones mixed with teen rebellion, all tied into a perfect bow. Our perfect daughter would more accurately describe who I was before it all came crumbling down. My mother did her best. She never really talked to me about life or sex. And, well, as they say, if you don't teach your children, then the world will. And the world is a cruel teacher. That day I learned how society valued life. Not just my life, but the life of the baby growing inside my womb. Unfortunately, at the time, neither I nor my mother really understood what a womb was. I'm not talking about the physical functions, but the spiritual ones as well. I'm sure she had been taught the value of our sacred space, and she would have passed on that knowledge. But she had trauma of her own that was never properly addressed, and she didn't have the tools to handle this. She did what was done to her, patched it up, rewrapped it with a new bow so no one would knew what it was damaged in the first place. Only this time, that joy, that spark that was inside was gone. This new daughter had become numb the moment that I laid down on that clinic table, preparing to end a life that I had created before it even had a chance to live. I tried to calm myself because I was terrified, and the words I heard were anything but comforting. I'm sure his penis is bigger than my finger, the nurse said as she rammed her finger inside of me during the intake exam. I silently released a single tear, and the sound of the splash against the paper that lined the bed still rings in my ear to this day. In order to make it through it all, I buried who I was, right next to where I buried her. Spirits said it was a girl. I named her Innocence because she represents the energy that I used to create her and that was lost when I rejected her. Well, I'm reclaiming her time, reclaiming my innocence, reclaiming my value. You were loved. You are loved. I love you because I finally love me. I release any guilt that I've carried, for this was a lesson that I had to mold my Ori into what I was supposed to become. I thank you for your sacrifice because you knew the assignment and you fulfilled your destiny. My womb is healed, therefore I am healed. My heart is healed, therefore I am healed. My voice is healed, therefore I am healed. My mind is healed, therefore I am healed. Nukpu inter Hemet, I am a sacred woman. I am no longer wrapped in a pretty bow hiding flaws. I am adorned in the finest jewels, fabrics representing the beauty and the soul housed within this temple. Asheo. I wanted to read that because I wanted to read that because when we talk about womb healing, we always talk about the physical things, the medical things that have affected our wombs. We talk about the heavy bleeding menstrual cycles. We talk about fibroids, cysts. We also talk about disease and discomfort. We talk about vaginal itching, dryness. We talk about candida, all of these things when we talk about womb healing. But we don't ever really go into the emotional aspect of what these things that we experience, how that affects us. At 14, when I disconnected from my womb, I disconnected from who I was. I no longer was myself. I became a shell walking around. And so because I had disconnected from my womb at that time, I no longer valued my womb. And so this cycle that I had at 14 repeated itself several times throughout my years. I've had multiple terminations, multiple miscarriages. I have fought fibroids, and I've also been diagnosed and fought and healed herpes. And I'm going to pause right there because that is why I'm here today. It wasn't the several times that I had laid on the clinic table to terminate a pregnancy that I wasn't ready for. It wasn't the time that I stood in the hospital miscarrying the baby of a man whom I loved so dearly. It wasn't the time when I was diagnosed with fibroid tumors, but it was the time that I laid on that clinic table and the nurse came back into the room to tell me that I was diagnosed with herpes, genital herpes to be exact. At that moment, I felt that my world had crumbled down upon me, and I was done. I was done. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm never going to have a life. How is this going to work? And I sat in that sorrow for a few days. And after those days that I sat in that sorrow, I realized there was something that I needed to do. I needed to start to figure out how to heal myself. And that's what brought me on this journey of self healing and healing the womb. And there were some physical things that I needed to do in order to heal my womb. So I did those. Those are some dietary changes that I needed to do, as far as removing the mucus products out of my diet, eating more alkaline, drinking teas that would help to cleanse my blood, doing all the medical research I could to find out, because they said there was no cure. So how do I deal with this? How do I date with this? How do I have the family that I desire with this? Oh, my life is over is what I thought. And so that started the internal work on self, and to figure out how could I heal myself. And so I sat with spirit day after day after day. Please give me a ram in the bush. Give me some type of sign, some kind of help, as to what I'm supposed to do. And then I met a man. I
Mm-hmm.
explained to him that I had herpes, and it was very hard at the time that I explained that to him, because the guilt, the shame, the fear, and everything that I had heard about this disease kept me from really expressing myself and telling other people and members of my family. But when I told this guy, he understood. However, he wasn't the guy that I was supposed to be with. This man at the time was hooked on drugs, and he had started to get me involved with the drugs. And the moment I started to pull away from the drugs, he started to pull away from me. He didn't pull away because I had herpes. He pulled away because I didn't want to deal with the drugs. And I found myself only staying with him, even though he was doing drugs, because I didn't value myself because of the state of my womb. I had disconnected from my womb so much that I had disconnected from the spirit of who I was inside. The spirit of who I knew I was to become had been buried up under all of the guilt, all of the shame for this life that I had led, from the time that I became sexually active to starting to understand how to date and trying to figure life out. Because, like I told y'all before, my mama didn't have the tools. So I'm figuring this thing out on my own, and I'm getting more and more trauma that is happening to my womb. Sister, when you read that passage earlier, I remember cracking this book over for the first time and reading that, and my heart sank into my stomach.
Mm, mm,
It
mm.
sank into my stomach because it was like I had wrote this myself. Everything she was saying,
Mm-hmm.
every bullet point she was hitting on, it was like, oh my goodness, did she know that I was going to open this book and turn to this page? She wrote this especially for me.
Mm-hmm.
That is because this is not just my story alone. This is all of our stories collectively as women. You may not be fighting with the disease, you may not have the discomfort of fibroid tumors, but you may have experienced certain things that have created blockages within the womb space. I want to hit on a few blockages that you can encounter in the womb that aren't really talked
Yeah,
about, okay?
I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Go ahead, sis. Look, steer me in the right direction, because I get fired up about this, because there's so much information
Yeah,
here.
because I'm glad you said I'm glad you want to talk about hit the points because I want people to understand. I want us to go deep, like how we had that
Hmm.
conversation the other day, our little
Yes, yes.
pre-interview. I want people to understand why they go through what they go through when we
Hmm.
have all of these traumas and entities attached to us. uh, I'm being very vulnerable,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna let Lady Aunt get into it.
So yes.
If
So
people
when you
don't
talk,
understand, there are entities that's out there that we cannot see. Some people cannot see. Okay.
hmm
Some people cannot see, but some people can hear, see, feel, smell. And these entities thrive off of our pain. I know I have I know that firsthand. And I know when they say when women have demonic entities attached to their womb, this is a true fact. A true
Ashay.
fact, ladies. What they call them succubus, this is not fiction. This is not made up. This is a real thing. And these entities do not want you to let them go because you are the host. That's how they survive off of you and your pain. And then you wonder why you keep going through the same cycles over and over and over and over and over again. It's because you have to do the work to heal that as they are holding on to. Sister, get into it, please, because while I
Let me
finish
get
working
into
over
it.
here,
So what you just
get
mentioned,
into it.
you just mentioned the incubus. The incubus is a demon in male form, and his counterpart is the succubus in female form. Okay, these are sexual demons. These demons attach themselves to you in the course of your sleeping in the nighttime. And my first interaction with a incubus was actually when I was a child, staying over at my grandmother's house. My cousin would fondle me in the middle of the night as I was sleeping. Um,
Mm,
that energy, okay, so when we talk about sexual trauma, that is a entity, okay, that some people are controlled by. They're controlled by a sexual deviant, a sexual demon that utilizes them as a host in order to carry out their acts, okay. And then when they interact with another party, that energy and then is entrapped into the body of that person that they have connected with, okay. And so when I was younger, as I had said, I had that encounter. That encounter did not disrupt me um emotionally very much because it was never intercourse. However, what it did create was the succubus within myself, right? Because now I had an urge that wouldn't have been there in that time, that was sexually perpetuated as I started to go through puberty, which thus in me in the situation that I was in. And so once I had had this traumatic experience, right? So I had this experience where I was exposed to this demonic entity um, through sexual trauma. And then I had trauma of my own, also sexual trauma, where it caused me to spiritually disconnect myself from my womb, which led to very strong behavior sexually. I was out here, like I say, pop locking and dropping. Okay, I was out here doing my thing because I was trying to feed a desire within me that was not being met. That's how you know that some entity has connected itself to you, because you are doing behaviors trying to feed something and it's not working. And the way I want people to understand is some of the ways that you can know if a demonic entity or a sexual entity has started to affect your womb. You may have what is known as sleep paralysis during the middle of the night, where you're sleeping and it feels like you cannot move your body. People very often misinterpret that from astral projecting. You can astral project and have that same feeling, but when you feel like you're in your body but you can't move it, you can't do anything, that's normally because there's some entity that is affecting you, okay? The way that we cleanse those types of entities, and not just entities when we're talking about um, outside enemies, entities that are non-human, but even cleansing from past toxic partners, toxic relationships, any trauma that you've gone through. It could be trauma that was inflicted on you by a doctor. Okay, women, we go through a lot of things. The scraping and prodding of our uterus to have a pap smear is trauma to the womb. We don't think of it as trauma to the womb because we disconnect. In that moment we lay down, we already know it's going to kind of be uncomfortable or it's going to hurt. So we disconnect ourselves. And what happens is most of us, many of us, don't reconnect back to our wombs. And so when we experience these traumas, what happens is the further we get from our womb, the more we tend to put ourselves in those generational patterns. When we talk about generational curses, Sacred Woman Providencia, who's been on here quite a few times, has divinely corrected me in saying that generational curses are only generational patterns that we repeat. And so
Yes. I
when we,
agree.
when we go through these traumas, right? We've gone through the trauma of our own, and then there's past trauma from previous generations that are all affecting the way that we walk through life, how we go about our journey. And so that misguided pattern of behavior continues to re traumatize the womb over and over again until we're so far disconnected that we don't understand why our life is the way it is, why we feel incomplete, why we can't get to the next level, why we can't manifest the things that we desire, why we are not able to be where we know very well that we can be. What is keeping us from that? What is keeping us from that love and that joy and that happiness? Well, what's happened is the womb of our mind, the womb of our heart, and the womb of our seed of creation are no longer connected. They're not in alignment. They are not
Mm.
communicating with us. What happens is our mind, let's start off with the mind because this is a mental health um, podcast. When we go through a trauma,
Hmm.
there are stigmas that are attached with that trauma, okay? When you have a disease, there's stigmas attached to that disease. For instance, we're talking about herpes. Herpes has a very negative connotation with it. You're dirty, you're nasty, it's shameful. There's so many things that are attached to that. If we hold on to these negative thoughts in regards to that, not only does it take over our mind space, but we start to believe that in our hearts. And when we start to believe it in our heart, we're no longer manifesting from a place of our desire. We're manifesting from a place of our fears. Okay. So this is when we talk about the womb of our heart, the womb of our
Mm.
mind, the womb of our seed of creation being connected, is because they are all, I would like to consider it the Holy Trinity. That is the Holy Trinity of a divine being. Learning
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
retrain your mind past the things that you've been told and taught as it pertains to the reality that you are experiencing. I'm not here to say that everything that's on in your life you have manifested alone. However, your actions dictate the outcome of your reality, right? And so if our mind is in a space of fear, then we're operating out a space of fear. We cannot
Hmm.
manifest what we
Hmm.
want. Therefore, we cannot heal
Hmm.
ourselves. We cannot heal our families. We can't really do anything from
Hmm.
a space of fear. Now, our heart. Thank you. So when we talk
You
about,
see, you see, I had to.
you got to snap on that, because when we talk about retraining our mind, there's where the hard work starts to begin, because we've grown up in families that have told us certain things that may not have always been beneficial for us, that what goes on in my house stays in my house. And so you never told your mama
Ooh,
that her
ooh,
her her
ooh,
nephew or her baby daddy was fondling you. So you kept that inside and buried that. And then when the next thing happens,
ooh,
you bury
girl.
that. You bury that. And all these things that you are bearing, we are the divine creators. It has to manifest in some way. And so it ends up manifesting in the heavy bleeding. It ends up manifesting in the fibroids. It ends up manifesting in the disease or discomfort, because we've buried these things so far down within our womb that we have to do that much work in order to allow ourselves to release it. It's not simple as just saying, okay, I release you. No, now I got to retrain my mind to think about things different and to receive things different. I have to open my heart now, and I didn't had this thing guarded, with two fists, because I don't want anyone to come into this space because it's been so brutalized and damaged and taken advantage of. And so now you're telling me I got to open my heart and I'm still dealing with this trauma? Yes. See, here's the thing, ladies, and I want you all to think about this
Mm.
and
Oh,
really,
wait a
really
minute. I want
understand
wait,
this.
wait hold
Okay,
that thought.
I'll hold
Hold
it.
that thought, sister. Hold that thought, sister.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lose that. 'Cause you say, here's the thing, ladies. When you say
Okay.
opening up the heart,
Mm-hmm.
that is my challenge because it has been stomped and broken so hard. And remember when I said in the beginning of this episode that I had to let go of the hard exterior, woo, to be able
You
to
do.
heal. Is that vulnerability is that I am struggling with. But I realized the more I let go of the hard exterior, the more lighter I feel. I just had to
Yes,
say that
yes.
because you hit it on the head, star.
Yes,
Go ahead,
because
do
the
your
mind
thing.
the mind is something that I've found. And when I say, here's the thing, ladies, most of us have already started to accept the fact that we have to mentally change our mind. Most of us are there. That's why you hear so many people saying, oh, we woke now and all this thing. And there's so much evolution happening within our community and within society, because we realize, okay, I do have to change my mental and my mind at the way I think about things. However, our ego that is meant to protect us has been overworked and forced into survival mode. And so our ego is not allowing us to open up our heart. When we can't open up our heart, we can't receive what we are supposed to experience, because we are so jaded, we are so, what do they call it, over, we're at a toxic level of protection. There's one thing to say, okay, I want to get a bolt on my front door, I'm going to put a double bolt on my front door. It's a whole different level when you got six bolts lined down your front door. There gets to a point where it's like, okay, are you trying to keep somebody from coming in, or are you trying to keep somebody from going out? Like,
Mm.
there's a it's like, what you trying to
Mm-hmm.
do? Because this is a little excessive. And what we've gotten is, we have, as a people, been in survival mode for so long. We don't trust nobody. We don't trust our parents. So that's why we cannot open our hearts to anyone else. But here's the thing. And this is another aspect of what I wanted to say. Here's the thing. We have to understand that everyone that we are experiencing is a divine reflection of ourselves. Every single person.
Mm-hmm.
There is some aspect within them that is a divine reflection of ourselves. I know that I am a good person. I know that I attract very good people. And so when these people that I attract fall short of where I feel that they should be, I am not going to just cast out all the people and say, you know what, ain't nobody good. I'm going to cast. I can't do that. I have to extend grace.
Mm.
I have to extend forgiveness, not for them, but for me. Because if I'm holding on to all
Right.
these grudges, where is the room for my blessings? Where is the room for my healing? And so I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
let me go into some particulars, because I got some statistics up here that not statistics, but
Okay.
I have a few things up here I wanted to share with you about the spiritual effects of some of the things I mentioned, like fibroids and cysts, particularly these two, because these are things that I have personally dealt with and personally healed from. Now, I am still in the process of healing from fibroids, because fibroids, the emotional cause of fibroids, really stems from your relationships and the stagnation within your relationships. Okay, it represents the deep physical connection with our loved ones, and for many years, I did not feel physically connected to anyone. During those years, I didn't feel connected to anyone, were the years where was experiencing very harsh womb trauma, as in the terminated pregnancies and the miscarriages. And so during those times where my womb is working, it's trying to flow as it should, I am, I am putting my womb in a position to block the flow of energy that is trying to come through me. Okay. And when I did that, this is my spiritual awakening came once I birthed my first child. Why? Because that was something that I had been preventing from happening since I was 14 years old. And now at 30 years old, when I delivered my first child, there was the flood of information that came to me at that time. Now, what happens when you block information from coming, or you block the flow of energy from coming? It's not going to dissipate. It's going to go somewhere, and it's going to create something. And that is usually what happens with fibroids. That stagnated energy, that loss of the connection with our loved ones, or more importantly, with ourselves, that's locks up in our womb space, calcifies, and remains stagnant until we actively start to do things in order to help that energy flow again. And so meditation is not enough. Opening your heart and allowing people in, and receiving the love is not enough. You have to literally, physically do things with your womb in order to allow that energy to flow. So that means that I have been castor oil packing, massaging, yoni steaming. I have been doing everything ritualistically, routine, regular, so that I can allow that energy to flow. And as I am allowing that energy to flow, new revelations, new things are coming. I've learned that there are things that are our out of our control. There's certain things that are just out of our control. However, majority of things are within our control, especially as it pertains to our personal lives, okay? And so when we decide as women that we are going to make ourselves, um our spiritual focus, then we can shift the energy of our life. We can shift the direction that our lives are headed in. A lot of times we remain stagnant in the womb area with these fibroids, this heavy bleeding, this heavy menstrual, is because we're living lives that are inauthentic. They're not authentic to the spirit of who we are in our being. Why aren't they authentic? Because as I said earlier today, in this podcast, we have disconnected from our womb. And so I want everyone to know, as we start to think about our womb and where we are and where we stand with our womb. If she could speak, what would she say? If your womb could speak to you, what would she say? Some of the things that we need to do in order to heal our womb is simply just listen. My womb told me, when I asked myself this question for the very first time, you know what she told me? Be celibate. The very first thing that I had to do in order to heal myself from the herpes, the herpes disease, was I had to be celibate. Why? Because I had devalued and disconnected myself so far from my womb that I was not being authentic to myself. I was allowing people, or men, I should say, to have access to me in that way that should have never even been a consideration, that I would have never considered had I not had the guilt and the shame that the disease had brought with it when it came and it showed up. But
Mm.
when I began to look at that disease as a way of telling me what was going on with me, this was my womb talking to me. This was her speaking to me. What would she say? Well, I'm going to tell you what she said. She told me that you got to stop having sex until you start loving you. You can't lay down with a man thinking that this is
Mm.
going to help him to love you, and you don't love you. Ain't nobody gonna love you until you love you. And so that was like, oh, okay. I gotta sit down. I gotta learn how to love me. What does this mean? How am I gonna do this? And it was very hard at first, but what I was doing in that point is I was disconnecting the succubus. I was releasing her. She got to get off of me because you can no longer
Mm.
use my body. You can no longer use my body to be out here for the streets, as they say. You cannot, you not like us. You got to get off of me. And so what I had to do was within taking that bout of celibacy, and I was celibate for 5 years. And it was very hard. But I'm going to
Mm.
tell you what made it easy. At the time that I started to be celibate, I was a single mother and I was lost. I had a 2-year-old daughter, and I said, I cannot be going through this back and forth with guys, and I'm not even getting sexually satisfied no more at this point. It's because I'm not even, when I'm laying there, I'm not even telling the dude if he doing it right no more. I'm just letting him do what he do and get up, and I'm
Mm.
acting like it's good and all this. This is how disconnected many of us are. Many of us are in relationships where we ain't even told the man how we like it, but we claim to be
Mm-hmm.
connected to, and I call myself a woman, as they say. So when we talk
Right.
about the conversation with your womb, that is an ongoing conversation that has to happen all the time. This is what I'm teaching my 10-year-old daughter now. You have to start listening to your womb and your spirit. This is the reason why women of color are no longer connected with their intuition and their intuitive abilities and their intuitive gifts. It's because they're not even connected with their womb. You don't know that you could heal yourself because you're not connected with your womb. You've turned that off, which then turns off every other spiritual gift that you have. So that gift of prophecy, where or discernment, or the ability that you have to just be able to put things together or whip something up with your hand, all of that becomes stagnant because you're no longer in the energy of creation, which is what our womb is. That's the energy of creation. And so the first the first thing that we have to do is open up the lines of communication with our womb. What does that look like? I'm glad you asked. That looks like closing our eyes and literally touching, feeling on that skin that's below your belly button, where they say the mound is, below your belly button, right above the pubic mound. That is where your womb sits. It sits right behind that. Taking your hands at night and rubbing in that area so that you can feel what's happening. Ooh, when I touch here, it's a little tender. Okay, when I rub here, it feels a little better. Let me lay some clay on here and allow myself to process. Let me massage with some oils and allow myself to process. Let me sit on top of a pot of herbs that have been steeped. And let me allow those herbs, the essences of those herbs, the essential oils of those herbs to fill my womb space and medicinally clean that womb space out. And as I'm doing that, let me journal about some of the things that's coming up or some of the things that I've been through. Let me write about some of the things that I've encountered and that I've done so that I can allow this energy to move and to start to flow again. These are the things that we have to do, and we have to do it regularly. Many of us spent 30 plus years of our lives with a toxic womb because we grew up in a toxic environment with experiences that have further traumatized our womb space. And so now we cannot manifest the life that we see for ourselves because we can't even see past today. We still stuck in survival mode. And so one of the things that I, have constantly had to remind myself throughout the course of this journey is that my womb health is my health. There are so many things that you can
Mm-hmm.
heal within your body just by healing your womb. Once you start to heal your womb, you'll find different things will start to transform within your mental space, within your physical body. Your skin will start to look better. It'll be flawless. You'll be like, oh, shoot, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
You'll have the mental clarity that you need. You'll be able to produce things, and you'll have ideas, and you'll feel more passionate and joyful about life. And so when you are feeling stagnated, blocked, um, incapable of getting to the next level of you, or you feel just like, I don't even know what's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. I got the job, I got the car, I got the kids, I got the man, but I'm just not happy. It's because you need to talk to your womb. Need to have a conversation with her. You need to sit down with her and start work on some of the healing. And that healing is not just going to come by journaling. It's not just going to come by meditating. You are going to have to actively spend time with your womb. Just like it says in this article written, and I'll try to drop the article in the chat. There's an article written by Tracy Evans, and it talks about the emotional and energetic root cause of different elements. And one of the things she says is healing fibroids means learn to give yourself all the love that you yearn to receive from others. And that's really the foundational principle of all womb healing. It's learning that what you are seeking to get from the outside world, you have to first pour into yourself. Anything that you want to manifest, you have to start to believe it. Not just in your mind, but in your heart, and also be like, yeah, I know I'm gonna get this. This is it's coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm. Whew. Sister, sister,
had
sister.
to take a breath right there. She said, "Sister, sister."
I wanted to interject while you were taking a breath. I want everybody to
Yes,
understand that this womb healing work, and like we said in the beginning, it's not just for women, it's for men as well.
Ashay.
This womb healing work, it's a journey. It's a journey, and it goes so deep within yourself. And I would see a lot of people, that would say, "Oh, peace, love, and light," and I'm on a spiritual journey, and this is that. I'd be like, they ain't been through nothing yet. Because let me tell you something about that spiritual journey right here, boy. You feel me? Like it'll have you rethinking your whole existence, and you would have to really unlearn everything that you was taught to relearn the truth, and that can make you go crazy. You
Hmm.
feel me? To find out that everything that you was taught within your whole existence is an actual lie. So then it's like, well, who am I? You feel me? Then
Exactly.
that cognitive dissonance falls right into place again. It's and well, what I will say is also is that it'll bend you up. uh it'll but in those times an opportunity to love yourself more, to
Hmm.
go within deep parts of yourself that you have buried that you didn't want to see. That journey that's why it's called the dark night of the soul, because you're going within the deep dark places of yourself. But baby, every time you do the work and every time you have that aha moment, you're able to have more clarity. You are more lighter. You're able to manifest more. You're able just to be more at peace with waking up. I used to find myself waking up not happy. How you not waking up and you how you wake up and you not happy? Like, oh God, I gotta
Hmm.
do this, I gotta do that, I gotta pay this bill, I gotta go here. And I said to myself, you know what? God has blessed me to wake up again this morning, each and every day. I should be happy just for that. Just for
Come on.
that alone. Because what I have been through almost took me out. And some people, there's so many loved ones that I have lost that's not even here to be able to have another chance to live their life, to have another chance to heal, to have another chance to manifest, to have another chance to learn. And here I am complaining about things that our ancestors
Hmm.
wish that they could complain about.
Hmm.
That's the selfishness. So it's within doing that work, that spiritual work, that I can be able. I am mature enough to say now, it's the little things that I appreciate more because of me getting all of that. Me getting, because I haven't got all of it. Me getting that gunk off of my womb that I didn't even know was there, that didn't even know it exist. I had
Well,
to
I do
interject
want
right quick, sister.
no, and that's great because you bring me to why I do this work, which is to heal the Black family, heal those generational trauma that we've experienced that lead to the patterns that we've perpetuated for cycles after cycle after cycle. And what we all need to understand, everyone listening to this podcast, everyone who will hear it on the replay, is that womb healing is very much healing generational trauma, healing generational blockages, healing generational curses, if you will. Womb healing is the epitome of what will take in order to heal the Black family, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because as you mentioned at the beginning, at the start of this podcast, is that when we are in our mother's womb, right? We already carry all the seeds of our children, okay? And that can go back. At last I checked, they had counted it back 7 generations, and I'm sure it's back more than that. Where they've
15
seen
to
that
20.
15 to 20 exactly, where that information, because information is passed in our genetic code, okay, information is passed down from generation to generation in our DNA, in our genetic code. And so what that means is that as you heal your womb, you will see your mother start to heal. You will then be healing your children because you will be either protecting them from some of the trauma that you experience, or you'll be redirecting the trauma that you've started to inflict as you begin to heal. And this is why womb healing is so sacred and so important, is because now we are trying to reestablish the Black family. We are trying to rebuild the Black family, but there is so much past hurt and trauma that has been passed down within our wombs. I mean, they had our people on breeding farms, and that wasn't just here in the United States, okay? That we were on breeding farms everywhere, okay? They have done things to our womb and to our ancestors that have created locked how we got stagnated stuff in our wombs and in different areas of our body. That stuff is trapped in our DNA, and so we have to process that and heal that and release that. I like to tell people, like, I carry all this weight because this is the weight of my ancestors. I'm still processing things and generational things that my ancestors had went through. And it as I start to do the healing work, I just realized about 2 months ago that my grandmother grew up in antebellum slavery in the early 19 she was born in 1926, so 1920s to 1960. When she left Mississippi to come to California, she was in antebellum slavery that still exists in the 1900s, and many people think that that was gone. There were still aspects of that had existed. I can see it in my gene when I look at my gene with my African. I did ancestry.com years ago, and when I look at how the genes fall, this was slavery at its finest. This was womb trauma at its finest. I'm looking at the women in my family who aren't even markers on this page. Our matriarchal lineage has been severed within the Black community, and this is why womb healing is super important. We don't understand who we are because honestly, if we did an ancestry.com right now, we probably could find who our grandmother was if we knew her name, but beyond our grandmother, we probably couldn't even trace back those women. That's a huge problem because the womb, what came first, the chicken or the egg? The womb. The womb came first. The womb came first. Okay, let's get that correct. And so when we disconnect from our womb, and we have those generations of disconnected, those generations of baby being stripped from their mama and raised by somebody else, or generations of physical and mental and emotional abuse, the psychological effects we pass down from generation to generation. And now we're seeing that it's taking us out younger and younger. We're seeing more women being affected by breast cancer. Nowadays, we're seeing more women having fibroids, cysts, all of these illnesses and elements that we can have as people. They all have a spiritual and psychological effect. So I would suggest, if you are dealing with any womb trauma, any type of trauma, but especially womb trauma or womb disease discomfort, look up the psychological or the spiritual meaning of those diseases or discomforts. You'd be surprised to what you find. I'm going to read to you
Mm-hmm.
what I've found in regards to herpes. Now, I knew a lot of this already, but this was a new one I didn't know. It says herpes represents a mental blockage that can be overcome by identifying and addressing the underlying cause. The word herpes itself means serpent like. Now, when we think about our DNA, our DNA is serpent like. Okay, herpes is something that attaches itself to your DNA, and it makes these cold sores on your body, which represents the mental blockages that the individual needs to overcome, and they're oftentimes associated with blockages within the Kundalini energy. Now they don't be giving these things these names just on GP. They gave it a name that means serpent like. Our Kundalini energy, which is the energy of our
Mm.
womb, okay? That is the energy of creation.
Right.
That is a really powerful energy that is being blocked by this disease. That means there is mentally some
Mm-hmm.
things that we have to do to fire ourselves up, to remind ourselves who we are, so that we can break
Mm-hmm.
past all of these things. And sometimes that's generational things that we got to break past, you know. And I just really thank you for opening up this conversation about womb healing, because we don't talk about it in the way that we should. We don't mention the effects that our parents have on us. We don't mention the effects that our community, our lifestyle has had on us. We don't mention the things that we've done, like you said, the cognitive dissonance, where we don't want to even admit the things that we already kind of know that we need to change and shift some things within ourselves. And so my challenge to everyone who listens to this either right now or on replay is to not allow a diagnosis to dictate your self-value or your self-worth, to understand that you are a divine, sacred being. You have the power to heal yourself. Everything that you need to know is tapped into your DNA, which means all you have to do is silence the outside noise, go within, and you will be given tools on things you need to do. It might be saying, Google this or research something you heard but you don't really know about, and that's going to give you the tools. But these things can and will, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but you can self heal. It is absolutely possible
You
to self
definitely
heal.
can.
Let me say that again. You can absolutely self heal, and you can absolutely self heal with natural things that are organic from nature, meaning plant based things can heal you. Plant herbs, different fruits have the
Now
ability to
I
heal the
just want
womb.
everybody to understand what she's saying, because she's saying that she healed herself from herpes.
Yes. So let's get into that. How do you heal from herpes? I'm gonna tell you the number one thing Spirit told me was that I had to remove all sexual partners. In the interim of me finally getting to know myself and understanding myself, and really understanding and learning my body, because if you remember, I disconnected from my body at 14, so there was a whole learning curve that I needed to catch up on. So I had to do the celibacy, which I do suggest for anyone who's trying to heal their womb space. You need to understand how to talk to her and communicate with her so that the outbreak, right, which is the final symptom of what's going on internally, doesn't have to be, it's not necessary because you'll know when different things start to happen. So, for instance, those first few years that I was healing myself, I would notice that before I would have an outbreak, I would have a itching sensation. So then I had to figure out, okay, what is this itching sensation? What's triggering this itching sensation? Oh, smoking cigarettes is triggering that. So I let the cigarettes go. So when you start to listen to your body more, it will start to tell you what things you have to let go of that is triggering your DNA or your body to react in a certain way. So, like I said, it was the men hooking up with different dudes all the time. That wasn't good for my womb space. Proper hygiene definitely goes in with that. Some of the herbs that were very dear to me, I make plenty of things that have cilantro in it. Cilantro is a really good herb to use. Oregano is a really good herb to use. All you got to do is put those in a pot and steep it in some tea. Now, some people say, I don't like cilantro or oregano. Most of the herbs that are very potent and strong that you don't really care for are the ones that will help you the most. So that is the cilantro, the garlic,
Mm-hmm.
the oregano, the onion. You know, these incorporating these things freshly into your diet, not over processing it. You know, we all cook our food and no one wants their vegetables to have a snap. Well, they need to have a snap to still have some of the potency of the actual medicine or the medicinal purposes that are in those plants. So when we talking about eating these, you don't want to, boil your herbs. You really want to boil the water, put your herbs inside of it after it's been boiled and allow it to steep so that it'll pull out the highest concentration of medicinal benefits from the herbs. Okay. Another thing that you can do is you could utilize another good thing for womb if you're dealing with like fibroids is incorporating all of the berries. So any of the berries, strawberry, blackberry, blueberry, all of the berries are really good. But my very, very favorite is pomegranate seeds. Pomegranate seeds and eating watermelon with the seeds. I eat the seeds. But you can also do things to make capsules with the seeds and different things like that. And so now is the perfect time for womb healing because now pineapple I'm sorry now well, pineapple, we all know what the pineapple do for the womb. I know everybody that learned that it makes the womb
Right.
have a certain type of essence. So but now is the time where pomegranates are in season, so you can get pomegranates and you can eat your pomegranates. Those are really good if you have the heavy bleeding, the womb blockages like fibroids or cysts. And so these are some of the things that are everyday items that we can use to heal our womb. And you will feel the difference. You will actually feel the difference. Using castor oil,
There's a
okay?
question for
Cast
you. There's a question for you, sister.
Sure.
Truth and conscious of Ford. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Oh God, I gotta put my glasses on. Oh God. Asks, is dry cilantro good?
Yes, so you can definitely use dry cilantro. We have to understand though that once it's, I would say to buy it fresh and dry it out yourself, because then it'll still maintain the highest potency. If you've already gotten something that is pre-dried, then chances are we don't know how long it's been dried. And herbs are like any other thing. It's not that they won't be useful; they'll still be useful, but they
It
won't
holds
be
the
at their
ashe.
highest potency. So you would definitely, I like to get my fresh herbs from the grocery store with food stamps, y'all. If y'all got the EBT, I don't know if it's called that out there, but get your fresh herbs from the
It
grocery
definitely
store.
is. It definitely is.
Get your fresh
Eat better tonight.
herbs. Yes, yes. Get your fresh herbs from the grocery store. You can sit them in your windowsill. I like to tie mine on a little string and hang them so that they can dry out a little quicker. But I like to self dry my herbs or use them fresh. Thank you for that question. Are there any other questions in
Yes,
the
thank you,
chat?
thank you,
Oh, I
thank you.
like that.
No, they were just it did just was just shout outs for you.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
truth. Oh, it's Fard. Okay, truth and constance Fard. Okay,
Uh,
she says
Okay.
Ashe. Well, I hope
Give
it's a she.
thanks. Give
Thank you so
thanks.
kindly, Truth and Constance. We have Nunya
Yes.
busy. They gave a whole bunch of hearts and stars.
Thank
Um,
you.
yes. Jay Blook says peace and love. I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure if
Thank
Reaper's
you.
still on. Shout out to Reaper. Because I was posting these things as you was talking. I didn't want to interrupt. And Reaper says, greetings all. The symptoms of trauma stuck inside, then revealed in the other areas of life. It started in the womb. Great talk. She said talk. Great talk.
Thank you.
We
Thank
have
you.
Ish.
Yes.
Ish says peace and love. I'm not sure if he's still on. Chantel Dennis said yes. Says speak it. Speak. Speak.
Thank you.
Remember Lady P. Now you came
Yeah,
on to
Lady
help
P. Hey,
Lady
Lady
P. Oh,
P.
I'm not sure if she's still on. Peace and blessings to my sister. And we had Tanaja. Not sure if Tanaja's still on. Peace, sister. Tanaja actually shared our flyer earlier on her page and tagged both of us. Not sure if you saw that.
Oh, great, great.
Oh,
Yes,
Tanaja's
this.
still here. She's still here. She said, "Give thanks for your vulnerability and womb wisdom, sister."
Oh, give thanks. Give thanks. You know
Tanaja
what?
is another sister that will be on at the end of August talking about soft living. See, I need that. I need that
Oh,
soft living in my life.
if y'all haven't got her, if
Girl.
y'all ain't got Tenacious book, Soft Living, you got to get into it. It is a great read. And it is an interactive read. So yes, I'll be tuning in for that as well.
And it's a
Uh,
bestseller.
mm-hmm.
It's a bestseller on Amazon. So yes, sister. And she is doing it. She's hosting retreats. Like my sisters are just coming through. Like we are on the move. And I am just so grateful to be a part of everyone that I have connected with in the Sacred Woman Camp. We are just doing our thing. We
Yes,
are
because
doing it. We love you too, sister.
it takes community. You know, you having this forum and opening it up for all of us, and including the other guests that you've had, to open up the dialogue and talk about mental health and how we can utilize mental health to heal ourselves, right? Utilizing and understanding who we are. We are a people that are extremely powerful, and the running joke is that everyone knows our power but us. Now we teaching our power to our brothers and sisters that are out there, so that we don't any longer have to rely on anything outside of ourselves in order to do the healing work that we need to do.
Ashe. Greetings, Ashanti. Yeah, I definitely created this, and we're gonna have to wrap it up in a second. We've been on 1 hour and 19 minutes, and that's what happens when the conversation is so good. It always just, it keeps going. Today, just say grateful for our sisterhood. You are two powerful sister beings. Thank you, sister. You are a powerful sister being as well. I am so grateful to call you my sister. And I just love the love. I had never really received genuine love like this. I have, but I guess when you go through the mud together, it's a different kind of love. Because we know each other's story, we there to pick each other up. There's no judgment. And one of the
Hmm.
reasons why I created this podcast is because I'm like, I had to get this message out. When I started to tell my story, I realized how we all are going through the same thing. It's just that no one is really open enough to be vulnerable or feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And when I went through my bout, I'm just so used to being the strong one, and everyone comes to me for advice. And that was a time in my life where I needed people for me to have a shoulder to cry on. And some people was there, some people, they listened, but it was like, she ain't no superhuman. She's just like everybody else. And I didn't really get what I needed, from most, but I got it from some. No disrespect to anyone, but that's just my truth. But I have realized how everyone had the same story as me. And I really wanted to everyone to just feel safe, and just start to heal. Because to my cousin Clemmy says, if you can't live with your mind, how can you live? You know, and it's just so true. And I didn't realize how much anxiety plays an effect, especially in our black community, how much depression, how much the spiritual battles we always going through. And I said, I have to get this message out. I have to create a podcast. I have to have everyone that has their knowledge to come on and just talk about their knowledge, or whoever just want to come on, just talk about their story. Because just to talk about the story and just to release is also healing as well. And also with my womb healing journey, I'm still on that journey. um, I have gotten on and gotten off, gotten on and gotten off. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm perfect, um, but the journey has been so beautiful, and it has really reconnected me with myself, because I have always poured so much into everyone else and haven't poured anything into me. So this is an opportunity to love me. That's why I always say at the end of the show, what have you done for yourself today? And part of me doing something for myself is healing, me healing myself, so that I won't keep passing on the generational traumas to my children. Because I'm going to be very honest, doing with this journey, I have realized that I have passed down traumas to my children, me not knowing that. You know what I'm saying? Especially my eldest children, because they was there first and they was there with me when I was younger. So they seen everything. They see the growth. They love my growth. They love my journey. They love my story. But I realized that the things that they're going through and the challenges that they have is because of me. And I have to take ownership for that. And this is how we break those generational curses. It's about owning that story, and doing the work, and being there for your children when they need you, when they're going through their trauma, when they have, different bouts. And not to say, not to point a finger and say, oh, because you're this, you're that. No. How did I play a part of that as a mom? And have to understand that you are a reflection of me, and I put my traumas on my children. This is a real story, and this is how we break those generational curses. My mother, my father put their traumas on me without knowing it, though. I'm not gonna say they knew it, without knowing it, because this is how we was born and how we was raised. But I say here, it stops with me. And before we end, I want to say a poem, and I had dedicated this one. I said it plenty of times, but I gotta say it again. And this poem is called, excuse my language, fuck anxiety. Because when I was going through my journey, um with the womb healing and within the deep meditation, my ancestors came through and said, no, baby, this is not your fault. You know, you have been chosen to heal the bloodline. You just, anxiety just didn't just come to you. Okay. This has been passed down from generation to generation. So they start to say, well, look at this person in the family. Look at that person. Remember when they went here? Remember when they did that? And some of these people is dead already, you know. But they just was giving me, they just was reminding me that I was the chosen one for this bloodline. And I also want, and I say it all the time, everyone, if you listen to this podcast and this message gets you whenever it's supposed, I don't care if it gets to you 2 years later, it was meant for you to hear it at that time. Oh, I'm fired up now. You know how I do. I always come through at the end of the podcast. It was meant for you to hear it at that time, because your time is your time. And if you have been going through so many struggles and so many bouts, and you just don't understand why, I want you to know that you are the chosen one, and you have been built for this journey. Your ancestors chose you to heal the bloodline. That's why it's so much harder for you. That's why it's taking a little bit longer for you. But trust me, when you do the work, it's so profound. And we also have to remember that it's not about us. It's not about us, because we are going to be ancestors one day. So we are
Yes.
setting the tone for our descendants in the future. So I just want to say this poem right quick. It's called Fuck Anxiety. I dedicate this to my ancestors. Um, I haven't said it in a long time. I hope I remember. And I'm talking directly to the spirit of anxiety, the nerve of you. The nerve of you for moving into my space unannounced rent free. How dare you move in all your baggage and take advantage of me? Who do you think you are? Last time I checked, I was the star. You fooled me once, you fooled me twice, you fooled me many times over. Now you have to pack your bags because your reign is over. You took my mind and replaced it with fear. It's okay because I called the marshals and you got to get up out of here. No more rent and free space. You see this goddess here. I take back my humility and grace. Your time is finished while I watch it diminish. I take back my power, my love, my courage, my freedom. I'm watching you clench up, trying to find your next victim. You see, you thought you had me. Because when you met me, I was going through the dark night of the soul, but you didn't know me, the true me. God is He who always has her victory. Who me? Yes, me. Why not me? You saw the glory in me. So you can have your Willie Lynch curse, Jim Crow laws, 400 years of slavery, physically free but mentally slave, knocking those of my ancestors' statues, and I take back my melanin, my star child, my ancestors' bloodline, my peace, my grace, my benevolence, and everything great God has given me, and instilling my children what it is to be free. You see, it's bigger than me. It's so bigger than me that my eyes cannot see, but my spirit can foresee. I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing this for my ancestors and everyone that comes after me. Uh, wait a minute now. Don't forget that the lashes you gave my ancestors. All the raping of women and men because you was afraid and insecure of the God in thee. Here you go. Ticket castration, self-hate, incest, barbecue, and jealousy. And I take back what belongs to me. My birthright, my spirituality. I give it all back to you because I don't want it. Oh, yes, freedom was good on me, baby, and watch me flaunt it sexy. Ain't it all you can't handle me? Too late because the Most High said, go ahead, baby, what I created you to be. So you see, anxiety, you're not welcome here. I don't even want the back rent you on me because it will not suffice the pain you put me through, the illness, the heartbreak, the mental anguish. But I will rise above while you, I relinquish. You can't see me, baby. I'm on another frequency. I roll so high. I'm in another galaxy with my ancestors while they wash me and they wash me anew and they say, baby, we always knew. We always knew that it would be you. You are the next Harriet Tubman. It will be you to set yourself free and go back to free those that still in mental slavery. Hmm. Ah, I see. I see why you wanted me. Because I am the key. But you can't have me. Because I am free. Fuck anxiety. Yes. And
Sis,
every time I say,
yes.
yo, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every time I say that, I feel energy falling off of me. I feel the incubus falling off of me. I feel the entities falling off of me. I feel the negative energy falling off of me. I was in here having a crazy anxiety attack, going through, and I'm just going like, you know how I was just like in a dark space, and I just kept hearing air all around my head. I'm just like, shut up. And I said, no, fuck you. Excuse my language, but sometimes you gotta say it. And I said, I send you back everything that you have done to me, and you will fall by your own demise. Period. You have no power over me. All you was doing was just being a trickster, because that's what they do in your mind, that ego, because it's afraid. It's so afraid that ego and insecurity and everything else, it births a nasty energy. A nasty energy. So that's why when you live a soft living like my sister Nasia, and my sister Lady Ankh, when she said, she has to open up her heart, that's the true, it's so true. It's so true. Ah, ah. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for that. That was something spiritual for me because I've been attacked these last couple of weeks, all the way up until until today. If y'all haven't heard in the beginning, I've been sick since Tuesday. Yes, because I ate a vegan sausage that I know I'm not supposed to eat. I don't eat processed food. That vegan sausage is processed, and I don't eat that at all. But I was hungry. It tasted good, and I'm paying for it now. But when you leave your system open, your health is your number one defense. So if my health is down, that's another way for the entities and energies and anything else to be able to come in and attack you. So, sister, do you have anything that you want to say to your viewers before we get up out of here?
Well, I was gonna say thank you all. You hear the baby crying in the background, but thank you all for sharing space with me.
Oh, okay. I know you got to go be a mommy. She like, okay, who is this person taking up all my mother's attention? I get it and I understand. Thank you so kindly, sister, for your knowledge. Thank you for blessing the stage. Thank you for blessing my show with your presence. I appreciate you for taking out an hour and a half of your time away from your family and your children. Please, before you go, just leave how people can find you. You have a book. I know you are coming out with, programs and things of that nature, just so that everyone can find you and just get your knowledge and your book and your herbs and things of that nature.
Yes. So, if you if you want to read my book is available on Amazon. It's called Pretty Sad, and it's actually under my government name, Kamisha Robinson. So I will post the link in the chat and within this within this podcast. And I also have a YouTube channel. So for those of you who are interested in following me on YouTube, it's called My Beautifully Sacred Life. So My Beautifully Sacred Life with Sherry Unk. I have a ton of videos posted in regards to going through the gateways and just different things within Sacred Woman and how that's how allowed me to grow spiritually. I will be going live more often within my Facebook page. I'm sorry, within my YouTube channel. So definitely catch me there. I also have a store in Long Beach, California, for those of you who may be local. It's called Nile Valley Wellness, like Nile Valley Wellness. I do got a little country twang that come in there sometime. Nile Valley Wellness. You can
It's all
follow
right. It's beautiful.
the store there. And I think that's it. I'll drop all of the links below in the chat. Thank you all so much for listening to my story and a little bit of the wisdom that I wanted to impart on you all today. Peace and blessings to you all.
Ashe, sister. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, so I will talk to you soon. I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna text you after the show is over in about 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Yes, that was my sacred sister, Lady Unk, all the way from Cali. Yes, like I've been having people all over the United States. This episode, this season has been on fire. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for lasting this long with me. I just have a feeling that this podcast is just going to blow up one day. Thank you for being here with me while I am at this level. Hopefully, I can get my guy Illflix, my photographer. He's also my videographer who's going to be doing my documentary. And also, my sister today, who's also my photographer. Maybe we can get Illflix, we get in the studio and we get we do this, professionally. Da, 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 he's so dope. I hope he's still on. I hope he saw that. But I'm going to say, as I always end, what have you done for yourself today? For me, when I got sick, I had to stop everything. I had to cancel my session with my client, and I said I have no space for anyone but me today. I didn't tell them that, but I did tell them that I was a little under the weather. Um, because if I don't have space for myself, how can I help anyone else? And I say the same thing to you. What have you done for yourself today? We go through life, and this what the womb healing journey has started me with self-love. We go through life taking care of everyone else. We have to get up every day, whether we whether we running a business, whether we are working for someone, a mom, a dad, a caretaker for loved ones. Sometimes we go through life so much that we don't sit and just sit with ourselves sometimes and ask us, what do I want? How can you resurrect yourself? My way of resurrection is resurrecting my mind so that I can be able to resurrect my life. Every day in these last 3 years, I look forward to getting up every day and doing something towards my dream. I used to think that, oh, it's too late because I had turned 40 and I felt as though I was paying attention to everyone else, not to myself. And I started too late and I was too old to do it. If I would have let that ego and anxiety keep running my mind and running my life, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to y'all. I used to have such stage fright. There was no way in the world I can be able to say that poem and say it with such conviction if I didn't fight through that anxiety. So I say to you, what is it that you want to do in life? I don't care how big or how small. It could be you just want to go swimming with the fish in the ocean. Do it. Did you tell yourself you love yourself today? Did you look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you? Or did you just give yourself a hug? I challenge you. I challenge you before tonight is over to tell yourself, I love you. Because all we really have is ourselves. After we spend time with our family, friends, children, spouses, work, co workers, whoever, at the end of each and every night, you are left with yourself. When you lay down and go to sleep, you are with yourself and your thoughts. When you wake up in the morning, you are with yourself and your thoughts. It begins with you and ends with you. So I challenge you, what do you want to do for you? It's never too late. I always talk about Vera Wang. I've seen this lady looking good as I don't know what, 70 years old, and she created her first dress at 40 years old. You feel me? So why do we have to stop? Why we can't go for our dreams? Is because of financial road blockages? Is it because of our health? Is it because we have so many baggage with us that we cannot be able to make room for ourselves? I challenge you to put up do an inventory, what should stay and what should go. And whatever needs to go, you're going to give yourself more room to focus on yourself. I challenge you. So I want to say thank you again for staying with me, sticking with me, and always supporting me. Please like, share, subscribe. I got a feeling one day this is going to take off. Tomorrow I'll be at the Children's Village. I am hosting. I'm living my dream. This used to be my former employment up until the end of this year, the beginning of this year, and I said, wait a minute, this is not where I want to be, and I just left. But I made such great connections with them. I was getting ready to start a program there. Who knows what it would have turned into? I was a coach of a step team there. I hosted a last Juneteenth event there. This is all while I was working there, mind you. I made great connections there. They hit me up 2 weeks ago and said, we would love for you to come back and host Juneteenth again. And I'm getting paid for it. And now I said all of that to say it took me had to go through all that struggle, all that fight, and also start living my dream in little ways, little step by step. And I also want to say to you, celebrate that. Celebrate those small accomplishments. Because I remember me being so focused on not celebrating my small accomplishments that it was creating a sense of failure in my mind. Oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not here where I think I should be. And then I had to sit and look at myself and say, wait a minute, you had all these accomplishments here. You're not proud of yourself? Celebrate the small accomplishments. That'll give you more motivation. So I'm going to celebrate this accomplishment that I made for myself for tomorrow. That I have made such an impact on them when I didn't want to get up and go to that place each and every day. Because of all the trauma that was happening there. But I stood up and I showed out and I did the best that I can do. That the next year that I don't even work there no more, that you're actually paying me to come back and host. Thank you, God. And that's standing and living in your truth. So I say, I challenge you. So with that being said, I want to say I love you. I thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the love. And make sure you do something for yourself tonight. I say, peace. The views and opinions expressed on this show by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the channel. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not reflect those of the host and the channel. All information, content, and material of the website, podcasts, or informational purposes only are not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, and or medical treatment of the qualified physician and or healthcare provider. Likewise, all information, content, opinions, and material of this website podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be treated as a legal advice nor as an attorney-client relationship or created herein. I forgot to say that I am a certified behavior therapist, but I still have to put this up as a disclaimer just to protect my guests and my podcast. Again, thank you so kindly, and I greatly appreciate you all. Peace.